So my first coach I have with me here today is Jeff Williams, the head coach of the IU East men's golf team. And Jeff, I know this isn't your first time experience with IU East, but we'll get to that in a second. So
Sure.
Jeff, first of all, just give me some formalities. Where are you from and what high school did you go to?
Originally, I grew up in Illinois, Danville, Illinois, just south of Chicago. We migrated over my junior year in high school to Logansport, Indiana, and I'm a Berry. I'm a Logansport Berry. I graduated from Logansport. I was fortunate enough to play college basketball at Ball State University. Had a very successful 4 years there. Got the JV baseball and varsity JV basketball jobs at Richmond High School, mid 80s, late 80s, and I was a business teacher and a basketball coach at Richmond High School for 31 years. I retired 3 years ago. Fortunately, I retired the year that COVID hit, so I avoided that problem as far as teaching and the online stuff, but then I had a good friend of mine became the women's golf coach here, Billy Mullen, and he asked if I would like to be his assistant. So I was his assistant for about a year or so, and then the other assistant, he retired, so I became both the men's and women's assistant up until last spring. And then I got a phone call at about 11 o'clock on a Monday morning, and by 4 o'clock I was the head men's golf coach.
So it sounds like a wild career almost.
Yeah, I mean, you don't realize it while it's going on, but they say sometimes opportunity knocks when you least expect it, and I was not expecting much at all as far as a head coaching position. I was very happy in doing with what I was doing, but former coach Johnny Gordon got a job at Hartley Hills as the golf superintendent, and it kind of came quickly to him, and so he had to kind of move on it, and I just happened to be in the right place at the right time.
And because of that, you have about a half of a year of experience as this head coach position. Obviously, we're introducing you, this is your first time as
Yes.
the coach, but you've actually had some coaching experience as the head coach.
Yes, we finished our spring season last year. That was my first shot at being a golf coach. Now, coaching has been in my blood. My father was a coach, my uncle was a coach, so I kind of grew up in that environment. Just the coaching golf was kind of a new experience for me, and fortunately I had some great kids on the roster, some kids I've known for years, some kids that being from Richmond, even though I wasn't born and raised in Richmond, I've been here almost 35 years, so I've gotten to know a lot of people, and the kids that were on the roster currently helped me tremendously making that transition from a basketball, baseball coach to a golf coach.
Well, question for you. So you mentioned you played basketball in college. You've coached some JV teams. Why pick golf to coach?
I've played golf probably as long as I've played basketball. I tell my kids I know just enough about golf to be dangerous, but I quickly learned, and in talking to some friends of mine that are in the golf profession, there's a huge difference between being a golf instructor and being a golf coach. I'm not a golf instructor. I don't mess with swings and the technicalities and that sort of thing. I'm more of a coach that provides structure and provides an environment so the kids can be successful. And just like any other sport, that's pretty much what you have to do. You got to get good kids, you got to bring them in, then you got to let them go and let them be themselves, and hopefully they make you look good.
So to describe your coaching style, you're not so much of a hands-on, but more of like a laissez-faire type of deal?
Oh, I don't know if you could say I'm not hands-on. It's just I read the room, and I know, we've got a kid, Jake Miller, who's been playing golf since he was crawling, and to sit here and try to act or to say that I know more about the game and what's needed than him, is ridiculous. So I don't have that ego. I'm old enough now, and I've been through it enough to know that you've got to check your ego at the door. And so I just sat down with the kids and what do you need and what can I provide, and And that's what I try to do. I especially golf, that is such a mental grind anyway. I feel like it's my job just to put them in a position to be successful, provide them with anything that they need within reason to be successful, and then, like I say, just let them go, because they're talented young men. They work hard. They put a lot of effort into their craft. So the last thing I want to do is get in their way.
And that effort is really a big part too. You also mentioned that mental mindset. What are some challenges that your players face on a day-to-day basis?
Well, just especially as a freshman coming in, and I think it's not just golf, it's all sports. It's just the college experience as a whole. They're making that transition from high school, where all of a sudden they're responsible for getting themselves out of bed and to budget their time and that sort of thing, prioritize what they need to get done and what they'd like to have done and that sort of thing. So it's not necessarily a golf specific mindset. It's kind of a college specific. You know, you've got to have priorities. You've got to budget your time. You've got to do things that will allow yourself to be, one, a good golfer, but more importantly, a good student, and eventually get your degree.
And as you lead students that are trying to not only balance a degree with playing golf, what are some goals that you have for this upcoming season?
Well, we first and foremost, and we want to go to nationals as a team. I mean, the kids are into that. I've learned over the years, you set your goals high, and it sets yourself up for some disappointment, because it really means something to you. It's important to you. So, you know, anything short of us going to nationals as a team, then we've not achieved our goals. And we can achieve goals along the way, individual goals, especially with golf and that sort of thing. But ultimately, you want that big prize, and that is to get our team to the nationals at TPC Deer Run come the end of spring. And so I think we're all focused. I think all the kids are willing to sacrifice and do what it takes to get there. So that's primarily our one and only goal. And then anything that happens along the way, you know, we're happy with that as well.
And I don't know how many kids are on the team currently, but how do you see them transitioning from a COVID year now to playing in sort of, maybe not normalcy, but just a different year? A
new normal, is what they're saying. And yeah, it's kind of nice to speak to you without a mask, and you know, it's amazing how quickly you get used to things like the mask and the quarantine and the social distancing and so forth. But no, I think all of our kids are just, they're like sponges right now. They want to learn. We're doubling our roster in size. We finished with 8 last year. We lost 1 senior in Caleb Wall, and we're bringing 7 new kids in. So we're going to have 14 kids on our roster, which is a good thing. It provides more competition within the group. And I think golf, as well as all other sports, the more competition you can provide for internally, then when you get to the games and you're playing a different color uniform, it just makes things a little easier, because you've been competing and you have that mindset, so it's not a big shock to you when you get out there and the lights come on.
And finally, do you have any advice for kids in high school that want to play golf in college?
Practice and go to school. I'm just now kind of getting into the recruiting part of coaching college athletics, and it's kind of like looking for an employee. You know, you're looking at resumes, and you've got so many of them, and it's such a competitive environment, the golf environment out there, that you almost look for reasons to eliminate kids because you have so many of them. So my advice would be just, first and foremost, take care of those grades. You know, go to school, good attendance records, good GPAs, test scores, all that kind of stuff. That puts you miles ahead of other kids that may have the same talent or level of ability. And then it's just, it's not something that you can force yourself to do. It's either a passion or it's not. The kids that we have on our roster, they love to play. They play all the time. If you're having to tell your kids to go out and play, then you probably got the wrong kid or the wrong player. So that part of it is easy. You're just playing and playing. But the tough part is doing the physical conditioning, the nutrition, the schoolwork, the stuff that you don't like to do. stay on top of that, and that way if your golf skills get to a point where you can play at the next level, then you'll be ready to go.